for the world's greatest Arsenal podcast. Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons. I am Fergus, I am your host. Welcome to our season end phone-in. So this is your opportunity to come on, join us and click on the link, which is gunsandyellowribbons.com/join. And you can join the show. In the meantime, myself, Gunnar Hilsey, Capo Dan, and Danish Gunnar are going to take a brief look back at the Wolves game before you guys start calling in. Trev, how are you, mate? You've nicked my shirt.
Yeah, I've got a cheap one on. I picked it up nicely cheap on Vinted, mate. Brand new with labels, and I thought I'd wear it tonight. It's all right when I'm standing up, but when I sit down, my bellies are a bit tight in it, mate. So I've raised my camera a little bit, so it just looks like I've got boobs and no belly. I'm really good, Ferg. I'm looking forward to this show. I'm really looking forward to this show. You sent out the. I actually read the running order you sent out earlier. I think for the first time in about a year, Fergus. And I'm excited by what we're going to talk about. It's going to be fun. Hopefully, we're going to have some debate. And people, please just come and join us for a couple of minutes, because otherwise Fergus is going to be nag all week. So just come and join us for a minute, please. We've
already got some people waiting in the green room. We're just going to do the intros, and we'll be with you in about 5 minutes. So we'll speak to you shortly. Dan, there's flags everywhere. Look, absolutely flags everywhere.
They've stolen all your flags.
Right. Mate, when you set the standard and set a precedent, everyone wants to join in a copy, aren't they? Number one fans all over the place.
There is. Yeah, I suppose. Listen, we now know that the reason why. Chan, who's just in the chat, shared a nice little video of before the Wolves game with us, and this is how the flag gets going.
Tell you what, mate, it's a different view up there from what it is normally down below. It's the first
especially with 15 pints, with 15 pints of lager on you. I tell you that will also make a big difference. So, Alex, how are you? Keep talking, guys. There's somebody at my front door, so I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just getting used to no more Premier League football, so it's all weird being on the other side of the season now, and now all the transfer rumors are starting. We already discussed it a bit before we went live. I guess we'll get into it a bit later as well. But yeah, silly season is starting for real now, especially after the Champions League game. I expect we'll see loads of stuff happening, and you already saw today Fabrizio Romano calling the here we go on Alexis McAllister to Liverpool. So I hope we can get our stuff done nice and easy as well early in the transfer window. But yeah, I guess we'll get into that with some viewers joining in as well.
It's interesting. It's interesting that because my advice to people would be just don't listen to anyone. Listen, you're going to hear the rumours, but don't believe a single word of any of them until the Arsenal official website puts up, we have purchased so-and-so, we've purchased so-and-so. Yeah. Because we're going to hear so many stories. We all know what we hope we get. We all know what we want to get. Whether we get it, only the Arsenal will be able to tell us. What do you reckon, Dan Boy?
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that, to be honest with you. I don't really care about the rumours. Let's wait until they see him on the pitch. I've had too many years of Benzema being signed every single summer to now believe any rumours. So, but I don't know about you guys. How bored were you guys this weekend?
How what?
How bored were you this weekend?
Oh man, listen.
It's strange.
I've bought my season ticket. I've took the missus out for one weekend. I'm ready to go. I'm just ready to go. And I've got Champions League League football to look forward to. We've got an improving team to look forward to. We're going to buy some superstars. Although, as I said, don't believe that until the Arsenal say so. What's not to look forward to? Really? Come on. If you're not on a high about what we're going to get this season, you're never going to be on a high. This old man is buzzing that much. I've had to watch the old ticker a bit, tell you, because I'm ready for the start of this season. I'm ready. And do you know what, Dan? Before Fergus comes in, didn't he say to us last week that without him we couldn't run this show? Did he say that? I think
I think he did, yeah.
Gone, isn't it? I mean, go and answer the door again, Ferg. We've been having a right good time.
I've been listening to you the whole time. The thing is, I'm expecting a call, but that wasn't it. So we'll have to see. Listen, we're going to bring our first caller of the evening in. We're going to bring in Tom Sobel from Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay Gooners. How are you, Tom?
Wonderful. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, really
good. Thank you,
really
Tom.
Good.
Very good. Thanks, Tom.
So look, it's been the last time since I talked to you guys. It's been a while, so I'm glad you guys were able to get me on. I was bored as hell this weekend as well, except for I was drinking some Manchester United tears at the pub because as much as I was rooting for a sinkhole, I had to go to the pub and watch the two go at each other because unlike over there, when we have our groups over here, we have one pub that everybody goes to. It's an Arsenal bar. But it's owned by a Man U guy. So we've been going there for 13 years, and then the Man City people started coming in. So
there's two of them. It's just two of them? Would you say?
It was about 10. They actually Ubered a couple extra in. So.
So listen, well, I suppose to start off on it, how did you find the season? Like, if we go back and rewind to August when the season started. What were your expectations? And then ultimately, how did you find the season ended?
Well, I got to see them on the U.S. tour, so I was very, very, very hyped. I was probably a little more glass half full more so than I was the year before. And so I was looking forward to it. I got to see them do all the stuff that they were doing, got to be a part of all the kit rollouts and everything. So I was pretty optimistic. I didn't expect that kind of start. I didn't expect us to just come out of the gate and just put everybody on their ears, but it was pretty good. As we were going through, we had a lot of issues with people just almost jumping off the bandwagon when we had people that were getting injured, and I still wanted to be a little bit more relaxed. Still didn't say anything out loud. I was always gonna, just feeling comfortable. Optimistic, but I don't like the way it ended, obviously, but it just shows that we don't have the depth because it doesn't take much for us to lose when we get somebody injured, or in this case, two people injured on our back line. My problem was having to deal with the people that say that we bottled it, because I don't think you can't have it that way when you were never expected to be in that position. We were well ahead of our schedule, where we did much better than we anticipated. Yeah, we probably could have done a lot better. We all would have rather had seen a better finish, but it just shows when you see what Man City can sit on their bench when they're playing in meaningless games towards the last couple weeks of the season, and we're still struggling to put a full team out. We play 11 on 11. Our starting 11 is as good as I think their starting 11. So,
Tom, I'm going to come back to you on one of the points you made there in a second. But firstly, Fergus, can you just answer this question for Lawrence again, please, mate? And then we can move forward.
Okay, I'll have it running down the bottom. So if you go to gunsandyellowribbons.com and just click on join the show, or else type in gunsandyellowribbons.com/join, you'll join in. There's currently 4 more people in the room behind us, so you'll probably have about 20-25 minute wait, but we're on for a couple of hours probably, depending on how long you want to talk for. Sorry, go on.
Right, Tom, do you know what? It's a really interesting point you made there about thinking about where we lost points and some of the disappointing results we had. And that, for me, that was compounded by the fact that City lost their last game, right? So that meant we only lost out by 5 points. And 5 points sounds such a small margin. It got my brain going off on all sorts of tangents, thinking about, if only. I've got a couple written down. I won't go into them, but for the one that comes to mind for me is, God, we lost by 5 points. Our last 2 games of the season were very winnable, going on form and going on paper, and we lost them both, and they're for the grace of God with the league title. But that also gives me encouragement for next season, thinking we're that close to the so-called best team in the world. We're only 5 points behind them, so we're nearly there, What's your thoughts on that, Tom?
Well, which is why I wanted to see us. I wanted to see Man City. I don't want to see them get the treble now that they got the double, but I did want to see them finish out kind of strong. So it does feel a bit, because like you said, they're the best team in the world, so, quote unquote. But it just shows what we need to do. I'm sure you probably have some things written down, like the Brentford game. I still think that one still drives right into the heart, that when they forgot to draw the lines. But again, the last games against the Liverpool, and then against West Ham, and against really the Liverpool game is where we lost the title. But again, this team still did so much for us this year. I mean, watching Dan lead the cheers, that over here, we're always watching that stuff and just enjoying it and wishing we were there at that moment. But it just did so much for us, and the excitement of what it's going to be for next year. As long as as long as we, like you were saying, don't follow the rumors, just wait till you see it on Arsenal.com. That's what I always do, because I drive myself crazy. I was on the cesspool known as Twitter earlier and looking at that, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with that, because then I'll have to up my meds like Trev, and that's not a good thing for any of us. But I am pretty optimistic about what we're going to do in this window, though.
Tom, what you have to realise as well, when you see Dan up like that, there's a huge support team, and I mean support team, behind him. A 52-year-old guy and another guy holding him up. He's got so much beer in him, and there's people jumping around. It's just unreal. It was quite funny.
What a load of old Codswallop.
Okay, you're too
just like Trev. I was
but I couldn't find a crane. It was terrible.
Tom, final parting comment. You're all the way out in Tampa Bay. How did you become an Arsenal fan?
This is the funny thing is that back in the day, we didn't get to see anything here. So back in the 80s, 90s, probably more so early 90s, late 80s, we used to get soccer made in Germany on our public broadcasting stations here in the United States. And I always just followed all the leagues because I played all my life, but they always had the name Arsenal showing in anywhere in that table. And back then they weren't always fighting for the top spot, but I loved the name of Arsenal, and it just stuck. And then once we started to be able to get to see some games here and not on a tape delay, because I'm old, so they were still showing it on VCR and tape delays and things like that. So once we started getting it at least within a couple of days, I got to see them play when Bergkamp was there and Henry, and I just fell in love with it. And it's Arsenal till I die.
Thank you very, very much for joining us. We have got quite a few lining up. Everyone's jumped in quite early, so I will thank you for joining us now. Tampa Bay Golf Course Schooners, isn't it? Golf Course Schooners.
Yep, Golf Course Schooners.
And just give a shout out for the pub that you all go to.
Yeah, we go to McDitton's in Soho and South Howard in Tampa, and we've had as many as 250 people out there watching FA Cup. So, and when you're in Tampa Bay, in Tampa Bay area, come down and visit us. More the merrier.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, mate. Take it easy.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Cheers. Cheers. Let's remove Tom there. Right, we're going to have Kai come on in a second. Guys, that went really well. It was really good to chat with Tom and that. What's going on here? It's just bloody unreal. Dan,
Did you see that message, Ferg?
I didn't. What's that?
Hang on, lads. We've got Kanu in the chat. What's going on
No
there?
one else can join us. The studio's full at the minute. Try again in a minute,
Okay.
people.
Yeah, I've just seen that. Yeah, so we with us four on there, we can only have 10 in total. So we're already backed up. So you will have to try again in a few minutes. Kai, how are you, mate?
Kai, how
Not
you
too.
doing, mate?
How you doing, lads? How you doing? Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Great to see you, lads, again. Fergus, Trev, Dan, Danish.
So have you been happy with the season? Have you been happy with the season?
Absolutely. I've been blown away with this season. I've been absolutely blown away. I mean, I must say, I think the magic is back, lads. I really do. You know, I felt the magic for the first time in the longest time. I'm talking 2004, 2005. That long it's been since I felt the kind of magic. And the club, at the stadium, the games, among the fan base, it's just been fantastic, really. You know, obviously we had a really, really soul-destroying ending, how it went. But, you know, now we've had some time to look back on it. We've got to look at it as an entire season rather than just the end. And, you know, ultimately, they just gave us so many great weekends, didn't they?
What would you say were your Dan? You got a question. I was going to ask you what would you say you said such great weekends. What was your best weekend?
It was probably the Arsenal Bournemouth game, to be honest with you, because of just how we won it. I mean, obviously, you don't want to win the games like that, do you? You want Arsenal to put it to bed so that you don't have to take no medication and that. But I think those wins are the best, aren't they? To be honest with you, last minute goal, not enough time for the opposition to do anything about it. The stadium just going bonanza. A little kid turning up next to Arteta. It was just absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I've got no complaints about the season as a whole. Obviously, I could nitpick, and there are things, obviously. Yeah, absolutely. And there are things that there are things that we need to improve. But look, at the end of the day, all you want from your club is that they compete, and not in Europe, but in the Premier League, we competed, and yeah, we can hold our heads high.
Do you know what else, Ferg? Do you know what else done that Bournemouth win for me? Right, was who scored our winner. Was it Reese scoring that winner? It's such a well-deserved goal for a boy that ain't got much of a look in, and he's come on and when he's got a look in this year, he's played his heart out. Reese Nelson, he's really gone up in my estimation, and I was so pleased for the boy when he scored that goal, and I really was over the moon for him.
Is this the same Kai that we see on the fans forum? Because you're very happy today and positive. I'm wondering what's going on, Kai.
Listen, at the end of the day, as I said, if the team competes, I'm a happy chappy. People think that I expect Arsenal to win the treble every year for me to actually be happy. I'm not. I'm not like that. At the end of the day, all I want is the club to have a plan, have direction, and conviction, and that's exactly what they've had. Last summer they bought some great players, and they brought a great player back as well, Saliba. Obviously, we all wondered what Arteta's plans were for him, and from the day one, from the first game against Crystal Palace, we saw what that boy was made of, didn't we? We saw what minerals he had, and he just went on like that throughout the season. I've been a big advocate of bringing him back, and that's why, I watched the guy out in France, and I thought that it was a real standout at St Etienne. And then, what was the other club he went to? I think the club that Pepe's at now. Nice, yeah, he went to Nice. He performed well out there, and he obviously had that great year in Marseille. I just think he's a fantastic defender. We really need to. I don't want him to add.
Will he stay, or will it be another Anelka?
Well, not even Anelka. I don't want him to actually call this one up, to be honest with you. That's what I'm worried about in terms of, look, the thing about Saliba is we've extended Martinelli, we've extended Saka, and players talk amongst themselves. So he's going to know, and his agents are going to know what kind of level of wages they're up to. And we've got no business offering him a lower wage in comparison to them. Because in regards to how good he is as a defender in relation to how good they are as an attackers, I think he's up there. He's at their level. If we can get all of those players tied down, and a few bits and pieces on our midfield, because I think our midfield needs legs this summer, then I think we can start really relaxing in regards to what any other club does. That's what I want this summer, personally, innit? I want us to do some signings like Rice, and obviously there's Casado. If we can get those two through the door, don't really care what Chelsea do with their midfield. I don't see how they're going to do better than that. Don't really care what Liverpool do with their midfield. If we can get those two, Rice and Casado, I can't see anyone better in that in this league. I can't see anyone doing better than that.
Kai, speaking of French football, you touched upon it. You said you watched Saliba. Have you watched any of Balogun this season? And what do you think we should do with him?
Sell. I think we should sell him, to be honest with you. And to be honest with you, this will probably make John Malone quite happy. I think we should look to sell Nketiah as well. I think our second striker, it would be over the moon with that. I think our second striker has to be of the level that it's an actual competition between him and Gabriel Jesus to get in the team, because of the fact that...
In my view, we need a first striker, because Gabriel is not a first striker.
That's where I am with it, really. I'm with it in the sense that, look, at the end of the day, Bukayo Saka's kind of been flogged. But Gabriel Jesus can play out there. He played out there for Man City. He could play also on the left-hand side. But in terms of a spearhead, a centre forward, somebody who we can kind of rely on to put the ball in the net. I'm not saying Gabriel Jesus hasn't got it in him. We just haven't seen it yet. Maybe it has, and he has got it in him. And if he had never had that 3-month injury, maybe he'd have more than, I think he got 11 goals in the end, didn't he? Maybe he would have had 18, 19 and would feel a bit differently about it. But at the end of the day, when you look out there, and especially if Man United get their hands on Harry Kane, they're going to have a better centre forward than we do currently in terms of putting the ball in the net. And we know Man City do. You know the cyborg that they've got up front. So, you know, but look, Gabriel, the thing about Gabriel Jesus that we shouldn't underplay, though, is the effect that he had on the attack. You know, 88 goals we scored this year. And that's the most since, is that the most since the Invincibles?
I think the points and the games won and where we were right along the benchmarks right throughout the season was on par and at some points better than the Invincible season. So, you know, for people to come along and use the phrase bottlers or whatever they want to do, say it about the Arsenal Football Club. And if you look how many points we clawed back against Man City, Trevor mentioned it was only 5 points between us, but they had 15 points, I think, on the closest rival last season. So, you know, we've clawed back a huge number of points where it's just overall, it's been such great progress. Kai, thank you very much for joining us as always. Keep tuning in, keep on following us on Twitter, Facebook, and on the forum and joining in. Keep your mad stuff on the other one. The mad, that's a mad zone, that is.
Kai, have a great summer, mate. Have a great
You
summer.
too. I'll see you next season, yeah? Bye-bye.
Take care.
See you next season.
Yes, bye.
Bye.
And
Bye.
you'll be probably eye level with Dan when you're standing in there, by the way. When he's on somebody's shoulders, you'll be about the same eye level, I think.
I was just thinking, I know how it feels to be Kai now.
Thanks a lot, Kai. Dell,
See ya.
welcome to the podcast. See you later. Welcome to the podcast. Dell, how are you?
What's that I spy on Dell's shoulders?
Another fanboy with a flag.
Oh, Dan, it's in tribute to you, Dan. To the season we've had, I could not do it. Who's not got one of these flags, by the way? Has everyone got one of these now? They're on the reward scheme, aren't they?
I got 3.
Hey, look at the colour difference between the new one and the old one.
Oh, mate,
It's amazing what the beer does.
You've got to keep going.
Can you imagine what
It
your
has to go
insides
into
are
a
like?
museum.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Can't
Don't
get
want
rid of
to.
it.
Dell, I can go. I've got a list of questions, but to be honest, your highlight of the season in 1 or 2 sentences. What's your
So
highlight
many.
of the season?
From a non-footballing perspective, I've got to say, gents, massive credit to you guys and Block 6 to 8 because it's been an absolute incredible season, and I don't think. 5, I'll sit in 8 the other side, but 5 to 8 we'll call it. But I don't know. I just think that's been a massive part, and it's spoken about. You type North Bank into Twitter after a match day. You type anything. You don't even have to put names in. The videos just come up. It is fantastic. He mentions it across the pond as well. In Tampa, they're talking about this. It's incredible. The fans this season have been absolutely amazing, both home and away, and I've been lucky enough to experience all of it. So that's my key thing there. From a games perspective, I can't argue with the Bournemouth one, mainly because of, I got to share it with my boy. He was there, and after Trev skimped me out for the day. But yeah, it was a really good emotional moment. Me and my boy.
You weren't in tears. You weren't in tears because of the 94th, 96th minute goal. It was the 250 quid left in prime bottles and Arsenal tops.
Yeah, exactly.
Top shop, wasn't
it? And my boy was in tears because when I jumped in the air, I almost gave him a black eye with a bag of prime that he'd bought. So it was a bit bittersweet. But no, it's been an incredible season, and one that I'm. Again, I mean, it's nice to see some positivity from Kai. I don't think I met him in person, but on the group, Dan touched on it. I try and avoid it, but I think he's right. I mean, I think we're building something special. It doesn't matter what Chelsea do. It doesn't matter what Man United do. It doesn't matter what anybody does. It's a case of we're building something special here. We're building something very, very special. And you know what? There's talk of this person coming in, that person going out. This person hasn't signed. Regardless of what happens, I trust my club now. I trust my manager, and I trust the process. And that is good enough by me.
Dell, we've got a few others lining up, but I will just ask you one thing: your opinion on this man, Granit Xhaka.
We've got Granit Xhaka. We've got Granit Xhaka.
Say that you want me. You know what? 3 years ago, I could have easily said taxi for Xhaka and driven him out of there myself. But if anyone has proved that, you know what, you can turn things around, it's him. I'd go as far as to say he was arguably one of the first names on the team sheet when fit, one of the most important cogs in that wheel in the middle of the park. And I'll be sad to see him go. I mean, there's the last game of the season, it was loud and clear for everyone to hear. We want you to stay. We want you to stay. Whether that makes a difference or not, I don't know. But the reality is, he's probably the closest thing we've got to a legend. I'm not saying he is, but he's probably one of the closest we've got in recent years.
I think
that's a whole nother podcast.
Know about that, Dell.
That's a whole nother podcast, Dell.
Legend. No, you can't use the word.
I didn't say he was a legend. I said in recent seasons.
I know. But listen, I love what Xhaka's done to turn it around, but you cannot mention legend in the same word as Granit Xhaka in the sentence. Not yet.
A couple of
clarify,
FA Cups, didn't he?
I put a caveat in there. I didn't say he's a legend. Just put that in there.
Not even in the same sentence, mate.
Dell, we'll catch up with you over the summer, I'm sure, because we keep in touch, and we'll definitely see you early in the new season.
Enjoy the car,
thanks very much
mate.
for joining.
Beautiful.
My fuel bill's not.
Just before Dell goes, right? Just before Dell goes, it's worth. Dell spoke about Kai, and I've got a lot of time for Kai because Kai's not afraid to say it how it is. You know, if Kai's got something on his mind, he'll put it out there. But he puts it out there in a way where we all listen to it and we all think maybe we don't agree, but you get his point, you know. And I like that with Kai. I love meeting up with him at the Arsenal on the odd occasion and having a chat. So keep doing it, Kai, and we'll see you next season, mate. And as for you, Dale, I'm sure you owe me a beer, mate, before you go. So bring on next season.
Well, technically, I think you owe me a tenner, don't you?
I think it might be that, yeah.
Yeah. Have a good one, gents. Good night.
Cheers, thanks a lot. We've gone right to the other side of the world right now. I don't know if we're daytime, nighttime, middle of the night. We're in Cambodia, and we've got Ben. Ben, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good evening, all. I'm good, thank you. Just back from the UK, actually, after taking in the game at the weekend.
Oh, you were over for the Wolves game?
Yeah.
So we haven't even talked about the Wolves game. What did you make? What did you make of the performance overall?
Oh, overall, we almost played a bit like we did against Liverpool in the first half. You know, we just wiped the floor with them. You know, the confidence was there, the pressure was off, and off they went. And, you know, the atmosphere was good, which is really a big part of what it needed to be for the Wolves game. You know, we had a lot of young players who were crushed over the last few games, and, you know, they needed that boost of morale from everybody. You know, we needed to show a lot of love in that stadium. And I think, you know, we certainly did, which was good. One thing I'm surprised about, there's a lot of lads talking about the Bournemouth game. But let's be honest, the highlight week of the season, in my opinion, was the week we done Spurs at home and Liverpool at home. I mean, both those, you know, Spurs were flying in the top four at the time with Conte. Nobody knew where Liverpool were going to finish. And both those performances, one after the other, were just sensational.
If you were to look at a highlight of the game, then what would you say was, for the want of a better word, the low point in the season for you?
Well, the low point really had to be 44 minutes in the home to Liverpool game. Because at that point, I think, you know, Xhaka just lost it a little bit, as he did with a little push, and then we conceded the goal. And basically the whole season went from that pivotal moment. I think if we really look at it, you can look at it that, yeah, things started getting worse. But we can also look that we couldn't beat Southampton in 2 games. So, you know, there was 4 points lost. Both games against Southampton, home and away, we should have beaten them. Let's be honest about that. And also, you know, the tricky one, I suppose, was the City game at home. Because we did have pretty much a full team for the City game at home. But I still think, had we have got the 2 points that VAR robbed us of the week before against Brentford, I think that might have took the pressure off a bit, where we might have actually got a draw or something out of that game. Like, because we got that stupid penalty we never should have got, and everything went a bit weird, didn't it? So, you know, there's certainly been moments of the season that have been brilliant, you know, and there's been moments where we've had to scratch our heads and say, well, you know, sometimes, yes, it's gone against us, but at the same time, we've got to grow a pair and we've just got to push through. We can't change it. We'll never get the 2 points back. And it was almost like an insult when we got that penalty at home to City.
Was there any point of the season now that we can look back and it's all done? Was there a point where you said, okay, I think we're going to win it at this point? Did you believe at any point that we were going to win the league?
Yeah, 43 minutes into the game against Liverpool.
Yeah, when we were 2-0 up at Anfield.
And we played them off the park.
We did,
that 43 minutes was our best performance that we've seen from Arsenal, as good as we're going to get. And at 43 minutes in that game, it looked like we were going to destroy them 4 or 5-0. And it was only, okay, it's hard to blame an individual, but, Yaka should have learnt from Arteta. You don't stir up the Liverpool crowd. And then we made a mistake, and that's when doubt crept into everybody. And I think if there was a moment of the season where, yes, we are actually going to win this thing, it was at 43 minutes in that game.
I agree.
It's disappointment, but at the same time, beginning of the season, let's try and finish in the top 4. Let's see what we can do. Let's build on what we did from the season before. And we've had some outstanding performances this season. And I read a quote from Vieira sometime earlier today, which was quite interesting, where Vieira said, the problem that Arsenal had towards the end of the season was that we had to go into every game and we knew we had to win it. And there's a big difference there between going out and playing your best performance than there is with the mentality that you have to win. And I think for a young team like that, when Guardiola and City were struggling at points during the season, there was a quote that he came out with where he's like, win or lose, I don't care. I want my team back. Can you remember that when he said that? And Guardiola just said, I want my team back. And it actually made sense as the season came to an end with what he said as to the pressure that became on us. So, certainly we've had a brilliant season, far exceeded most people's expectations, but we were so close. And now it's just a case of, can we go one better next season? And also it would be nice to bring a cup home as well.
Dan?
Just to follow up, because if I'm totally honest, I don't agree with your point about the Liverpool game being in the 44th minute. Wondering why you think that was more of a turning point than the West Ham game, because at the end of the day, I think most people were disappointed being 2-0 up, but coming away from Anfield with a point in any title race isn't a bad point to get. Whereas you go to West Ham the game week after and you go 2-0 up and then you lose it from that point, I'd probably say that's more of a turning point than the Liverpool game, because being 2-0 up, we were absolutely cruising at that point. And then another turning point, potentially, you could say, is actually City, with all of their charges, seemed to sort of galvanise them as a team. So I would probably argue that those 2 points, West Ham and the City charges, were more turning points than the Liverpool game.
I think the pressure that had been piled on, but it was the way we played those first 43 minutes against Liverpool. I mean, they couldn't even get near us. They weren't even, getting up to the tricks that Liverpool do at Anfield. It's like we just blew them away. Like I've never seen us blow Liverpool away at Anfield. We beat Liverpool. We've tactically had to do what we've had to do. But for those 43 minutes, we blew them away. And they were getting a lesson from us. And in that, at the end of the first half, it was like when we walked in, suddenly they thought, hang on a minute, and we did the same, but for the wrong reason. And that's the difference. I mean, we can all blame Saka for missing a penalty, but penalties get missed, and these things happen. And Saka's had a brilliant season, so I won't blame Saka. But I think as a turning point, I think it was far more pivotal, because we could have won that game, walked away from Anfield with the 3 points, and then we'd have took some stopping. And the cushion we would have had would have really, the West Ham game, we would have just gone out there and beaten 2 or 3-0, and we would have cruised it. The pressure that they felt, and it's only if you've played any sport at top level as an individual that you get to know pressure, and it's different. And people are looking, and we're all thinking back to '89, when we lost to Derby and drew with Wimbledon, but it was a very different thing because it was still in our hands going to Anfield, as unlikely as it was, but we took it out of our hands. And these kids are so differently mentored. They're so mentally different to what they used to be. So, Liverpool to me was the big turning point of what happened. And it was just, a bit of inexperience. If Xhaka hadn't have made the push and hadn't have retaliated, we wouldn't have made the mistake. And we would have gone in at 2-0 at half time. and everybody would have been calm, and we would have came out with the same mental attitude. Now, would they have scored 3 and beat us? I don't know. But the reality is, it's a big difference at half time.
See, I can't blame Xhaka for what happened in that game. I absolutely can't blame him. But where I can sort of agree with you, I know Fergus wants to move this on, so I'll be quite brief. But where I do agree with you is that playing that well for the first 40-odd minutes at Liverpool, we weren't playing, with the greatest respect, we weren't playing a Southampton or a West Ham or a Brentford. We were playing Liverpool at their place, a place where not many people go and perform that well. And I agree with you from that perspective. We really did look like champions that day, in my view, for the first 40 minutes of the game. What happened after that, I don't know. Whether we just got nervous, whether we ran out of steam a bit, whether Liverpool just upped it, we'll never know. But I do see your point about that first 40 minutes of that Liverpool game. If you're looking across Arsenal's season at 40-minute segments of play, that 40 minutes against Liverpool would be topped by a mile. Because we absolutely played the best team, a well-known team at home off the park, mate. So I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one other thing just to finish it off, I think one thing Arteta's got to do is also he's inexperienced a little bit. He's gaining experience every game. But when it comes to playing Guardiola, I think he's got to go back to basics a bit more. I think he overthinks playing Guardiola now too much. When he first took over at Arsenal, we didn't have the players we've got now. Yet he could get the better of Guardiola. He knew what to do. Yet now when we're playing and we're looking further and further away from City in both games. And I think that's the thing where it's like he needs to get back to basics when we play him. They've worked together so long. And at the end of the day, we've got to beat City to win the title, or at least we've got to draw with them, right?
No, to be honest, I think beating City next season, at least at home, is key to us making a challenge on the title next season. Ben, thank you very, very much for joining us. I'm conscious we've got other people in the queue as well. Just briefly, let us know, how did you end up in Cambodia?
We used to live in Thailand, and my wife's Cambodian, so I moved over to Cambodia about 5 years ago, and I run the official Arsenal supporters club for Cambodia.
Do you know Ian then?
Do
you know Ian Donnelly?
Yeah.
No, I'm friends with him anyway. So
yeah, we've got quite a good one of locals here actually, and we do quite a bit for charity and give out the shirts to everybody, and we've got some kids and stuff that play. But yeah, we've got about 2,000 strong membership here of locals, so it's interesting to understand this as a global brand. But most of our members are students and young footballers and playing the Cambodian leagues. They don't have a lot of money, but they do love football. So it is a nice thing as we spread our word about.
No, brilliant. Ben, thank you very much. Spencer, welcome to the show. Thank you, Ben. Catch you again soon.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We can indeed.
You hear me loud? Awesome.
You've been waiting for a little while, haven't you?
You're good. I'm officially off work at this time, so we are good to go.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah. So
whereabouts in the country in the world are you? Where are you? In Vancouver, is it?
I'm in Virginia. Jamestown, Hampton Roads area. So 1607, birth of America and all that stuff. So local supporters club is the Virginia Beach Gooners. I don't really go as much because I live about 30 miles from where they actually meet. But I just found you guys. I've been working from home a lot in the last couple of years, shall we say, and I kind of find different things on YouTube to listen to Arsenal and other sports, and I happen to find you guys about, I think, January time frame, actually, and appreciate everything you guys do. Level-headedness at that, too, not just screaming and yelling at the TV monitor.
When you got Trev in there, it's really impossible to keep anybody level-headed. It's just, like, unreal.
Why? Why do you have to say that? Why do you have to do that?
Honestly, managing these two is impossible week in, week out. It's a job on its own.
I completely understand.
In September later this year, next season, we're going to be back playing at the Emirates. And thankfully, I didn't play the one that Dan sent me through, because that's that one of those videos that you open up in the supermarket and it looks all really good at the beginning, and then there's some noises that you don't really want to play in public. That's the one that Dan sent to me.
You know what, Berg? When that opening picture came up, then I was praying. I was thinking, please don't.
I do prepare. Are you looking forward to Champions League football, Spencer?
Absolutely, and I got chills even hearing that. So I play FIFA and every once in a while, put Arsenal's up in the Champions League if you play it. So I'm sure some of you guys probably play it, but I'm excited for it. It's one of those things that, so I started supporting Arsenal about 6-7 years ago, actually following religiously, knowing the players and everything. So for me, I've been kind of striving to see them back in Champions League, right? So I don't really have the same memories that some of you guys do. I'm 36, but my parents didn't raise me on soccer. I played it, but we didn't watch Arsenal or anything like that. I was an NFL guy, college football, stuff like that. So for me, Arsenal was more of a found passion than anything else. So I don't have the same memories that some of you guys do. So I'm looking forward to creating some of those memories.
So would you say this season then has been, if you've only been following for 6-7 years, it must be you found us at pretty low point, and to see the way we've grown into end up second in the league, and the amount of change under Wenger, Emery, and so on.
So yeah, finding them at a low point, and it's actually grown a bigger appreciation. I think more than anything, because you come in a team when they're winning, it's hard to understand the struggles that you go through of building something. And I think but I actually have helped out with Gooner Gathering and talked a bit on their show a couple of times. And I understand some of the frustration of the fan base because it's been 18, 19 years since they've won the league. For me, I'm looking at this more of a growing process. And this was the next step forward. Because last year, if you came in, you said, hey, we're going to finish in the top 4 and finish second and challenge for the title, you would have taken it. You wouldn't even have thought about it. You'd be like, yep, sign me up. Yeah, the story of us, the way we lost it is upsetting, but the bottling, it's a term that I don't understand as an American. Obviously, we don't use that term over here, but I think it's more of a negative.
Tottenham Hotspurs are called? You know what Tottenham Hotspurs are called?
Oh yeah, bottle jobs. Absolutely.
They do it. They do it all the time. So yeah,
absolutely. So I am aware of that, but I think some of the people's, it's just easy to say that we bottled it because, I was listening to the previous guy talk about where we lost it, and there's 38 data points through a season, 38 games, 114 points available. And it's hard to point to one instance and say that was it. It's a sequence of events that lead up to potentially using it. The Xhaka incident, the tactical issues at the end of Liverpool, missing the penalty. I think the biggest thing I took away in the second half of the season and from April on is we lost that killer mentality to put teams away. When you're up 2-0, you shouldn't blow that lead. So, I'm looking forward to this offseason. I know I heard y'all talking earlier about transfers and all that stuff and the Declan Rice and the Casados. Unless I see him holding a shirt, it's all rumor. And at this point, I believe it's mostly agents trying to get better deals for their players. It's all a chess match anyway. But I'm excited for next season. I'm going to the MLS All-Star game in DC. This will be my second Arsenal game. I went to Arsenal Real Madrid in DC a couple of years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago before COVID. And they announced this actually before the Man United Arsenal game, which the tickets in New York, I think $300. So I think my wife and daughter just got their passports. So we're planning a trip over to England in the next couple of years to go watch an Arsenal game and just because we're family wise, we're from Scotland, Wales, and all that area where our families are originated. So we're trying to do a big whole United Kingdom tour and everything. But I just want to share my biggest moment of the year was the Bournemouth game. And I know everybody says that's the one, but a lot of times I have a 15-year-old, so she doesn't really care about soccer as much. She's not really into it. It's not her thing. She's dating boys, whatever. But she watched that game with me and my daughter because it was with me and my wife because it was 10 o'clock East Coast time. And we all celebrated together. And that's a moment I'm never going to forget. So, yeah, the season didn't end the way we wanted it to. But, I'm happy for the I got so many memories. I can't be unhappy about. I know it sucks that we lost, but I just have so many good memories that I can take away from this.
Speaking of that, Spencer, do you think in the 6 years you've been an Arsenal fan, do you think that this season has been the season where you've been the most connected with the club as a fan living abroad as well?
So I would say because I found a lot of the YouTube community, I'm an Arsblog patron member too, so I do interact with some of the guys on the Discord on there. I would say yes to an extent in a different manner, because I was going to the local supporters group, but my best friend is an Arsenal fan. He's actually currently in Germany. So I don't get to see him as much. I don't get to talk to him as much as I used to about it. We used to text each other daily about, hey, who do you think we're getting in, just tactics and stuff like that. But I think, yeah, it's absolutely the most proud I've been. There's just so many good memories. And I think about one of the worst memories was the Southampton night. And I think it was, after we lost the game, tied it, excuse me. Well, after we tied the game, we had to go to a
Felt like a loss.
concert. That's what it felt like. I had to go to a kid's concert at her high school, and I was the most miserable person there. But it was just kind of. And I went home afterwards and drank and I don't really drink, but that one got me wanting to drink because it was that feeling of helplessness. And I think y'all played that TikTok where they had the music going. It was Gary Neville talking, and that one just, you could feel it. You could feel the disappointment. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm looking forward to next year. I know a lot of people are pessimistic, but I don't see the reason to be pessimistic. I don't see it.
Last question for you, Spencer. We looked at highlights of games and games we thought were really good, and where we thought, people talked about whether it was the Liverpool game, the West Ham game, the Southampton games where we lost the season. But at what point did you see one game where you thought, "Wow, Jesus, we got away with that one. We fluked to win"?
That's a tough one. You should have preloaded that one. Wow, that is a tough one.
Any of you guys think then?
The Leeds one, Leeds away.
Oh, absolutely. That Leeds one, absolutely. Thank God for VAR. I know a lot of people complain about it. I know it's a contentious subject. We have a lot of video assistant referee in America in our different sports, and it works pretty well. So I would reference this. It'll eventually work out. Just give it some time. It's some kinks, and they have to get over some of their idiosyncrasies, but the Leeds one, that's the one where I'm glad you brought that one up, because that's the first one I could think of after you mentioned it. But the one I think that irritated me the most is the Brentford one as well. But this is the thing with games, and I say this even when it comes to the NFL. Third down conversions rate's how you lose games. So yeah, you have a bad call in a game, but you had 80 some other minutes that you could put the ball in the back of the net or defended properly. So it's a total story of the game, depending on how it turns out. But, I think the Leeds one is probably the fair one. I'd have to look back at the schedule and see if anyone, triggers me like that one did. But that's the first one after you mentioned it I could think of. So, but I appreciate you guys having me on. So
Thank you for joining, Spencer.
Thank you. We're staying state. We're going to stay stateside. Spencer, thank you very much. Thanks for joining, and thanks for following us throughout the season. And hopefully you'll keep on following us going forward and spread the good news.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
Yes. Lawrence, have we kept you awake?
Yeah. How's it going?
Yeah, good. Lawrence, so give us a synopsis of what you thought of the season and where you think we need to improve for next season.
Well, definitely up front, we need another striker in, and maybe another midfielder, and cover at right back. That's where I think we need strengthening.
Trevor?
Yeah, I agree with Lawrence. I mean, I want to see us sign a forward that gives us different options. Not sure what we want in midfield till we see what's happening with Xhaka. I think we do need to sign a midfielder, but I think whether Xhaka going or staying sort of points in the direction of who we'd prefer. But we've heard the names mentioned. I'm not going to mention the names because I don't do that. I'm not going to do it until Arsenal announce it. And then across the back, once again, it depends, doesn't it, on who stays and who goes. But I want either a right back cover or I want a 100% fit Tomiyasu, because I don't know what your thoughts are, Lawrence, but when Tomiyasu did play this season, which wasn't very often, he didn't look to me, the player he was the year before, he didn't look fully fit to me.
I agree. It was total opposite from the previous year. And I feel we lost it when he and Saliba got injured because we really didn't have any cover in either position.
Yeah.
So I think it's imperative we get another right back in, and maybe get another central defender. But as I said, we need another striker because we were missing Jesus for most of the season after his injury at the World Cup. Whether that would have made a difference or not, I don't know.
I was just literally going to ask you: do you think the World Cup had a big impact on Arsenal's ultimate position at the end of the season?
Yeah, I think so. I think it caught up with us in the end.
And why is
but in saying that, yeah, I mean, you look at our squad compared to Man City. Man City can field any 11 players they want to and get a result. Us, on the other hand, when you look past, I don't know, maybe, 14, 15 players, who have we got as cover?
No, I agree. I do agree. We've got a few lined up, Lawrence, and I know you've been waiting, so I do want to get your thoughts. What do you see as, this season? I think we all have to agree that at the start of August, if we'd thought that we'd end up second in the league, we would have been over the moon. We just want a top four and possibly even a trophy. But what would you deem a good season for next season?
Well, a real challenge to Manchester City. We for us to be top of the league for 8-9 months and blow it in the last couple of weeks, it hurts. It really does. So I want us to see us go at it, again next year with with a big squad enough to challenge Man City. I would love us to get to the later stages of the Champions League as well, because I know the finals at Wembley. The finals at Wembley next season, so that would be great if we could get to the final. Not saying that we will, but it'd be a great achievement if we could do that.
You think that's possible?
Who knows? With a good runner, like, you never know. But I'd be happy if we get to the quarterfinals or the semi-final. That would be a good season. One thing before I go, I'm going to the Barcelona game in Los Angeles at the end of next month. So I don't know if any of you lot are going to be out here, but if you are, have a beer with you. You come and have a beer with me.
I'm not out that way, but I don't know if any of the other guys are, but I'm not. But it's a nice offer. Thank you very much, Lawrence. Trev, did you have something to ask before we let Lawrence go?
Yeah, firstly, bus pass don't cover me for going to America, Lawrence. So, unfortunately, I can't be there.
Never mind.
As for the Champions League, a few years ago, that lot up the road got to the final. So anything is possible. I absolutely agree. Anything is possible. But for me, and it'd be interesting just to finish with Lawrence and bring Albert in on this, because Albert will have an opinion. But for me, Ferg, mate, if we get out of group stages and progress a step past that, I would be disappointed because I want us to go further. But I would look upon that thinking, okay, first year back in the Champions League, we've got out of the group, we've messed it with the big boys. I'd be disappointed, but I wouldn't be, gutted. I wouldn't be devastated.
Lawrence, thank you very much. Hope the weather's nice over in Los Angeles, and keep listening and up the Arsenal.
Yeah, see ya. Up the Arsenal.
Here he is, my man.
Here he is. Hi, Albert.
How are we?
Hey, not too bad, man. Just watching Emmerdale before I thought, come on, so it's all right.
You could probably watch a box set about how long this has been going on.
No worries, man. It's good to get on, man.
It's good to get you on. We got Ben in the room as well. We'll bring Ben in shortly. We have got a couple more spaces if anybody does want to join, but I think we're going to be running down shortly. So we've got Ben and yourself. So Albert, your thoughts on the season? Was it a success? The big question to you, Albert, because I know I can put this question to you. If I was to say Man United getting top 4 and winning a trophy, or even West Ham avoiding relegation if they win a European trophy, versus Arsenal getting second, which of those three have had a better season?
God, you talk some
rubbish. For me, the West Ham argue. I get the question. That's a non-starter for me.
Yeah.
The United one, you can that's a bit more plausible because they got top three. End up finishing third. I thought Newcastle would get that in the league, but they got there and they got a trophy. It's a tough one, but in terms of Arsenal, I said this before. Like, it's a massively progressive season to get back into the Champions League, which was I thought Arsenal would do that before the start of the season because I didn't think they'd want to repeat 2 seasons ago, to be honest, after Newcastle with the last game against Everton, which was like a morgue at the Emirates. But I wouldn't say a successful season because I like to see silver at the end of it. So that was my synopsis of the season.
Guys, got a question? Go on.
Yeah, I've got a question.
Go on, Trev.
Why do you ask these questions, Fergus? We've both had a very good season. Man United came from nowhere to pick up towards the end of the season. Arsenal, we dropped off at the end. But I mean, we've got Ben in here now, right? And I said it earlier in the program, but it keeps going round my head. Man City losing that last game of the season has got my brain going wild, right? Mental, thinking about all these different what ifs, because they've only beat us with the best. Not me saying this, people say this. The best team in the world, the best club team in the world, has only beat us by 5 points. 5 points. That's less than 2 wins, right? And when you look at our season, our young lads, they've done so well. 2 more opportunities, and we win that league. We beat the best team in the world. I almost wish Man City had won that last game, so it was 8 points. Seems a lot more, doesn't it? So what's your view, Albert? How do you feel about losing by 5 points?
One stage looking like he's going to be double figures, and I think that would have wound me up a little bit more. But I think the issue is, Trev, just my opinion anyway, is that I think because City had wrapped up the league beating, was it Chelsea? They go into them last 2 games, and this is no disrespect to Brighton and Brentford because they've both had fantastic seasons. Brentford went to Man City and won. It took 6 points off of them. And that Brighton game against Man City was excellent. I know City rested a few players, but I think because the pressure was off a little bit, they was able to rest some of the players going to the final 2 games. That's my only sort of reservation about that. It annoyed me, actually, obviously, losing the game to Forest because, I don't mind Man City winning the league, but at least let them earn it and don't give it to them sitting, watching a game with their feet up and win a league title. I think that really kind of irked a lot of Arsenal fans because it did me. So I think that's my only sort of bugbear, really. And I think City probably were able to relax a little bit going to Brentford and Brighton because they'd already won the league.
Yeah, fair enough comment. Good comment, actually.
But I've got a quick question for you. Going into next season, Premier League, you've got Chelsea spending a lot of money. Liverpool, they've just signed McAllister. They'll be looking to spend more money and rebuild as well. We've got loads of teams rebuilding and doing well. Newcastle as well. What's your expectations, and what position would you accept for next season in the Premier League?
Great question. I think Arsenal have to mount a title challenge for next season. I think the standards have been raised. We talked about getting back in the Champions League. We secured that. We actually was competitive in a title run, and I expect the same for next season. I'd take your point in the case of Chelsea spend a lot of money, but they're actually going to get in a coach that's might actually know what he's doing. And Liverpool will go again because they won't. I'll be shocked if Liverpool have a season like that. They go from going for the quadruple to finishing 5th. That's just that's a crazy drop off. And Man United, they'll spend the money, and City always strength from a position of strength. And Arsenal need to do that, and they need to learn quickly. It's going to be ramped up this season because they're back in the Champions League. And I think in terms of the Champions League, I don't know what you guys feel. I feel like we almost have to take baby steps with that because one, we've been out of it for so long. So the standard of teams we're going to come up against are going to be a lot better than they were in the Europa League. And we couldn't get that over the line. So Arsenal are going to have to learn very, very quickly. But in terms of the recruitment, that's imperative. This is the biggest window because we're back in the Champions League. And most importantly, before I finish up, Arsenal fans have moaned for years saying that to attract a certain type of quality of player, we need to be back in the Champions League. We are. Tottenham are not in it. Chelsea are not in it. That's a massive, massive advantage, and Arsenal have to start either getting the number one targets or being aggressive in the transfer window. If they don't come, they don't come. The players don't come. Zubimendi, Rice, Casado, I could go on and on, but just be a bit more aggressive in the transfer window. That's all I ask.
Well said.
I agree.
I've got a quick one for you. Yeah, I've got a quick one for you, Albert. So obviously, I think everyone's quite clear that Man City are far and above anyone else in that league at the minute, right? But we're talking about how do we recruit, how do we improve? But how much do we need to actually improve as a team? So my question to you is, of our starting 11, how many of that starting 11 do you think get into Man City starting 11?
Ooh, not many in terms of the starting 11. You could argue a case for possibly Saka, possibly. Ødegaard's just a top. De Bruyne or Ødegaard is yeah. Listen, I'd have both if I could personally, but I think bridging the gap with City is, you know what, it's tough because Dan, I think that the fact is 84 points is good enough to get you back into Champions League football. It's not enough to win a league title. I know City end up on 89 points, but if you look at their points total in the last 5-6 seasons, you know what you have to do to win a league title. And even if you look at City squad, Dan, like I know people talk about, you know, City and the money they spent. You know, they didn't spend a lot of money to get Akanji, and he's been fantastic for them. And they've got, I would say, a core of 16 players that, you know, you can rely on to bring off of the bench. Arsenal need to strengthen that quality. It's, yeah, we can get the numbers in, but it's the quality you bring in, which is the key thing.
And I think it's also not just about bringing players in, right? I think we can bring in 5 or 6 players, but the players in our starting 11, they need to improve and continue to improve to get anywhere near City standard. You know, we've just said then how many Arsenal players really get into City's team. We're not going to buy a whole new starting 11. We've got a lot of those starting 11 players that need to step up to another level to take it to not just challenging in the Premier League, but challenging Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup like City do. Yeah,
I think that's the thing. It's the likes of, listen, I love some of the guys at Arsenal, but they need to pressure needs to be applied. Arteta should be able to go and say to him, yeah, Saka, you're not playing today. Thomas Partey on the bench. I think it has to be that. He's quite an intense guy anyway, Mikel Arteta. If I looked at him for long enough, I think I'd probably be scared of him, to be honest. But he's a good-looking lad as well, which helps. But it's that them kind of conversations and team talks need to take place. Partey shouldn't get a free ride into this. Yes, is brilliant for a first part of the season, but his drop-off, he deserved to be dropped, to be honest with you, in my opinion, anyway. But yeah, Dan, it's about having that competition and players that not just come in, but actually make a difference in terms of getting over the line. So yes, Rob Holding's a solid pro and the rest of it, and you know, but he's not good enough in order to come in and sustain, you know, a good starting 11. He just isn't, unfortunately, and you could aim that for quite a few other players. But Fabio Vieira, one more season. If it doesn't ship up, ruthless, done.
Just to, I know we've got loads of people waiting, and I know Fergus wanted to move on. But just to close,
kick me out, Fergus.
And
it's all right. It's all right.
This is equally to Dan as well. Just looking at our season, we've had great periods and a little drop off. Then we've picked it again. Then we've dropped off again. So do we need to improve, or do we just need to be more consistent? And does that consistency come with young players maturing? You know, I think if we played the same level all through the season, the top level, we would have won the league this year because we are good enough. But our inconsistency let us down. When we dropped off really badly, you know, really badly. And I'm not saying we don't need to sign players. I think we do need to sign players. But I think what we've got on their day is good enough. I honestly do, boys.
I'll keep it one word because we need to move on. I would say one thing we need to improve being clinical.
Are you talking to Ferg?
No, I thought I was doing other stuff.
I thought you said being simple.
Being
clinical.
Being clinical. Oh, Ben, help me out here. Ben. Oh my God, these guys are just ganging up on me. You see it every week at the football. I get it all the time. Albert, thank you very much for joining. Really
thank you, Albert.
Before you go, give everyone a shout out where they can catch up on your stuff.
Everywhere. I've got my own channel, Albert J TV, and you will see me here, there, and everywhere. I'll be covering the Women's World Cup with my YouTube Tottenham wife, which I won't give her a shout out because it's his Arsenal channel. But yeah, you'll see me there and everywhere, mate.
Take care, Albert.
Thank you.
Good luck with it, Albert.
See you soon. Take care.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, bye.
Later.
Ben, how are you?
How am I supposed to help you out?
Just to rescue me from these two. So Ben Bennett, clock in Ben, the voice, the senior voice of the Ashburton Army. That's the way I like to say it.
Yeah, well, I jump in there. Yeah, so I'm not really. I obviously associate. I've helped them in that and things, but yeah, I leave them to it. To be honest, I don't really. They're doing a fantastic job without people like me. So yeah, it's just good to jump in there now and again. But,
go on.
Can I just touch on the transfer thing first?
Yeah,
go on then.
I don't agree with Albert in the fact that we only attract players because we're back in the Champions League, because that's absolutely rubbish. I mean, we weren't even in Europe the other year. We got in Thomas Partey, absolutely brilliant player. We're Arsenal Football Club. We attract players because we are the Arsenal. We could be in Europa League. Zinchenko come, Jesus come. We don't have to be in the Champions League because of who we are. So, and I think with regards to who we're getting in is it's different now, because not only are we trying to sort in a player that's just going to play one position, we are going for versatility with 2 or 3 positions as well. Look at Trossard, look at Jesus. It's very, very hard to try and get what. And they've also got to buy into what we are doing as a project and what we're about now. So patience is going to be very much the key this summer. Social media fans don't have any, a lot of them. Yeah, and so we wait until it's on Arsenal.com and the shirt's on, and we go from there. As fans, we're all the same page with regards to patience is a virtue, and we're going to have to be that this summer, because we're going to need a good 4 or 5 in, I think. And like I say, it's going to be hard because we're not just going for one position; we're going for 2 or 3 sometimes. So at least 2. So
in the league next season, who do you fear?
Well, Man City won't change. However, the way they do things, that's another debate. But they're obviously they are that good. They've got such a big experienced squad, strength and depth. It's just unbelievable, isn't it? They are that good. They are the best team in the world. They will win the treble. So that says it all. So I think the other sides will close the gap. Liverpool will definitely be around about the top 3 this year. I can't see them overly taking Europa League. They like to challenge in all competitions, but I could see them rotating in the Europa League like we did this year. But they will be a force, I think, come May next year. Chelsea, I think they're still in a transition. They could be in that for the next 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure what's going to happen with them. I don't fear them next year. United, it all depends on who they buy. They'll be there or thereabouts, but they're not. They're nowhere near Man City. No, let's be honest. Man City are levels above, and I think that just proves how good we've been this season to get anywhere near them. And you've got to be foot perfect for 38 games. You have. So to get 5 points in at the end, it was. I know obviously where we were and what could have been, but because we only had 2 players who have experienced a title chase, who are in our first 11, and that's Zinchenko and Jesus. The rest of inexperienced. So it's a big learning. It's a massive learning curve for the whole squad. It's also a learning curve for the fan base for not getting carried away too easy, not looking 3, 4, 5, 6 games ahead. When you get to that point, you have to be taking it game by game. I had people in the crowd at times thinking about a month in advance. What you're doing? Think about the next game. Think about the game you're at.
I must admit, there was plenty of time that I was singing and Dan, and now you're going to believe us. But it's good fun.
Thing is, you're going to get caught up in that. I think I sang it a couple of times, but I've always spoke to you, and I said I'll judge after Liverpool away, at the end of Liverpool away, of how far we've come and when I can believe it. And at 43 minutes, 44 minutes, I really did start to believe, and there weren't many people that didn't. But it wasn't come 90 minutes at the end of the day, was it? So, and yeah, when I come back to that, Liverpool for me was a game where the first 43 minutes showed how far we'd come. To go up there and go and do that in our atmosphere, well, not a great atmosphere, but they're obviously going to that ground where we've had a bad record over the years. We've got demolished. But to go up there and go toe-to-toe with them and go 2-0 up in the first place, convincingly and deservedly, shows how far we come. And the fact that we come out in the second half, we could have lost it. I think that's what people need to forget. Salami's penalty, Ramsdale's made 2 blinders. Yeah, we dropped off. The inexperience did show in the end. Maybe the Xhaka incident, that's a bit stupid, but it happens. But you always take a point at Liverpool away.
Absolutely. Final question that I've got.
West Ham was the one for me.
For me, West Ham was definitely the one where it turned for me. And if you also look at Southampton, to drop 4 points against a relegated side, I think is a bit poor. One question I want to ask you, because I know how passionate you were about this when you were with Trevor on the protests against KSC and the Cronkies. Now, the Cronkies have invested heavily into the Arsenal Football Club. Josh seems quite invested in the club. There's less noise around them now. How do you feel about them right now?
I don't even talk about them. To me, it's all changed. The protests, like I always said to you, the protests have changed it all. Particularly that very first one after the Super League lark, when we was 4,000 of us were outside the Armoury giving it. And that was when I noticed there was change around the fan base as well. I haven't seen a togetherness like that. And I always said about the 2 bids Daniel Ek done, also ruffed a few feathers as well. So Josh took a bit more of a lead role in and around the club, a hell of a lot more. And he's been a close connection with Edu, Vinay, Richard Garlick, and obviously Arteta. So you can't really. There's not really much you can talk about, because look at what we've got now. We can sit here and say we've finally got our club back that we've always supported as a kid. We felt a million miles away from it at times since the Invincibles at certain years. I was obviously one of the ones that didn't go to the Emirates for so long, because that atmosphere won. But obviously, I felt so disconnected with being around and giving them my money when I don't feel like they're not on side. So I've got no grumbles about what's going on now. It's just great to have this amazing togetherness again.
That was quite a nice balanced response, because you normally get one extreme or the other, overly gushing that they're doing fantastic, or still people who've got vitriol. But I think it is good to be balanced. Dan, I know you've got a question for Ben, but did you have a follow-up on that, Trev? You take yourself off mute. It happens every podcast.
So you've done it.
You couldn't have a whole show. You've done well for an hour and a quarter, haven't you?
I have done well. I'm starting the bedtime now, boys. Sorry, Dan, before you go, right? Because I think that them protests, as Ben said, particularly the first one, Ben obviously realises the importance of it. I think most of us do, but a lot of people don't realise how important they were. I absolutely believe that those protests changed the way Cronkies run and look at our club. I have no doubt about that. I also believe that the protests brought all sorts of different fans together. There was, as Ben said, there was 4,000 fans outside that stadium that night. All may have had different opinions, but they all came together because they all knew the importance of making that sending that message, and it was sent very well, you know. And thirdly, and most importantly, from my perspective, I think after them protests, Josh Kroenke got more involved, as you've already said, mate, Ferg. And I think the people that were holding us back upstairs were sent on their way. One or two left, didn't they? You know, and ever since that happened, the club seems to be, well, it doesn't seem to be, it is. It gives the impression, and it is one big happy family. Upstairs seems dead right. The management team seemed dead right. The coaching team seemed dead right. Every player that sets foot on that field and plays for the Arsenal seems to want to play for the badge to me. And the fans have just been unbelievable. So to cap it off, those protests did a lot more than people think, and they were required, they were necessary, and they did their job unbelievably.
Ben, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you, I'm sure, North Bank or the Eaglet or the Woodbine or somewhere in August. We'll see you somewhere. We'll have a beer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, have a good summer, lads.
Take care, Ben. Cheers, mate.
Take care.
Bye.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Alex, I believe you're stuck for time and gone well over what you thought, but
a little bit, yeah. I'm an hour ahead as well, so I've got to jump in a minute.
All right, okay. Well, we'll have Reese on, and we'll let you go whenever you want to go. Just thanks for joining us again, and we'll catch up over the next couple of hours or whatever as well. Reese,
see you
welcome
next
to the
season
show.
as well, Reese.
How you doing, boys? You all good?
Yeah, good. You look like you're sitting there for your passport photograph.
No, I just want to say, since that Sunday, I've just had one thing left in my head, and it's Saka staying 4 more years. Since the last game of the season, I think it goes through my head maybe 2-3 times a day.
So, thoughts on the season? What was your highlights? What was your best moment in Block 5, Block 6?
I mean, I think social wise, the last game of the season, I mean, what we managed to get done outside before that Wolves game, it was a show. It was really good. Everyone really connected. Everyone really started, to hear the voice, which was good to see. And obviously shown back in obviously all the videos that we can see now as well. On the pitch, I think obviously beating the scum twice is always good. And also, that Liverpool game that someone mentioned earlier on as well, at home, was obviously a massive part of our season. Obviously, Bournemouth is obviously, we do need to remember it is Bournemouth. But when you do win a game like that, it's easy to get yourself carried away. And the reactions from the players, obviously, I mean, I think I ended up at 4 rows forward from my seat in row 26 after that goal went in.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. Champions League next year. How far do you think we can progress in it?
I mean, it all depends on the recruitment that we make. I think, I've mentioned to both you boys, all three of you at some point this season, that we definitely are thin. I think that obviously was shown at the end of the season this year. Obviously, everyone's talking about their turning points. For me, the biggest turning point for me this season was losing Saliba. So I mean, in terms of how far we can go, I think it does come down to recruitment. If you're saying about recruitment, what we need, I think personally, we probably need about 5 players to be able, if we want to go far in that tournament and also compete for the league as well.
I suppose VAR was a big thing with the you draw the fucking lines as we sang to them and everything else. VAR, success, failure, or too early to call, in your view?
I think VAR, when it's done properly, I mean, it is a success. But I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have caught hold of the clips now where you can hear the audio. It's quite funny how, there is no audio footage that's come out yet of that bloody Brentford game. I'd like to hear the commentary where they're talking to each other and who's basically not said, don't stick the lines up. Or where's that brown envelope going? But I won't really go into that.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
to
to answer your question, 2-8 is cool.
I had seen some of that VAR footage before, and it is good to see it's coming out. I think it would be nice if they had probably a slightly varied version, not varied, but more select, not as constantly in your ear, but a bit like what they do in rugby. So if people did want to listen to it, they could have their tune into it and hear some more. I suppose you said 5 players. If you were to pick a key player, who do you think the key players you'd want to replace as your number one? Or recruit,
I mean, it's probably who I'd want us to bring in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is probably the biggest name that's touted to come to the club right now. I don't want to say it because I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, that boy over in West Ham, I'd love him to come and play for the Arsenal.
Okay, lads, got any questions for Reese?
I'd say
all at once.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'd say, how do you feel the atmosphere developed as the season's gone by, and how do you think we take it to the next level?
Well, I think if you look back, Dan, I only met you this season. If you look back at I think I maybe met you at the 3rd home game, and you look at the sort of the atmosphere outside Block 5 and 6 at the start of them games back in the early starts of the season, we probably didn't get a bit of a crowd until about 15 minutes before kickoff. I myself, before this season, never used to go to the ground early. Was always one of them like strangers, be in the pub and try and throw myself in the ground 10 minutes before kickoff, just get in and see the boys come out. But I mean, yeah, much like you guys now, I'm always in the ground at least an hour before, sometimes even an hour and a half before. Obviously, time dependent on if I can get away from the kids and be able to get myself down. But yeah, like I said, if you look at the last couple of games we've had at home against obviously Brighton, also Wolves as well. The atmosphere pre-game, there's been people there 45 minutes before. There's been people wanting to come over and sing. But I also think it's taken to the stands. I mean, long may it continue, but actually in the actual stadium, people are actually starting to sing for more than 30 seconds and stop. Obviously, it does need someone to usher it and pick it back up every now and then. But yeah, the atmosphere is definitely starting to get better. How do we keep it going? People just keep coming and join us, and yeah, I mean, I think more people need to do it around the stadium. Obviously, I know the Ashburton Army have got their thing over in the clock end. I obviously don't know. Yeah, I don't really know too much what either the wings or halfway lines have got going on upstairs or on the lower tiers as well. But yeah, I think the message to all the fans is if you can get a group of your mates and start a little party before a game, get your pre-match beers nice and cheap, then yeah, why not? And it'll reflect into the stadium and that as well.
Is it mandatory to have a flag? Is it mandatory to have ginger hair? And is it mandatory to be on somebody's shoulders?
I think yes to the above.
I'm pretty sure you threw your beer at me as well there, Ferg.
I was holding on to your leg.
Fergus in the corner going, he's on his shoulders again. Here's a beer.
But Reese, I don't know if you spoke to Dan just after that happened, because you were in that little parley that was there, and I saw Dan afterwards. He was like just holding his face. I said, "What's wrong with you?" He said, "Man, what have we done? Look, it's all come off. You know, Andrew and Theo are there, and Andrew and Theo are there, and they come down and join us for some games. Lyall also in there. He comes round to Block 5 and Block 6, and there's more and more people gathering. It's just brilliant, Reese.
Yeah, no, for sure. And as I said, obviously Twitter. Obviously, I see Dan, yourself, Fergus, always posting up pre-game about everyone meeting there. But I think it's more a thing. I mean, yeah, I'm not a massive fan of always having video cameras out. I'm more like to enjoy it in the moment. But yeah, you are starting to see Block 5 and 6 people with their selfie sticks walking around now, and so I think the message is going around and nowhere to come and find us, because you're starting to see a lot more cameras popping out, and yeah, as I said, people are getting there a lot more early than they was at the start of the season for sure.
One last question for you, Reese. Who do you feel that hasn't progressed as much as you expected this season?
I mean, it's the ongoing discussion that we all have on WhatsApp and offline. I think obviously Smith Rowe, one of my little boy Ellis, as you boys know, he's got him on the back of his shirt. He'll kill me for saying this, but yeah, if he has another probably 3 months next season of what he's gone through this year, unfortunately, we probably will have to leave in January to find game time and for his own personal development as well. I am of the opinion that Arteta did do this with Martinelli, maybe not to the extent and did give Martinelli a few more minutes. But yeah, I mean, I looked up the other day about Smith Rowe's minutes this season. I think it equates to like 4 whole actual games. Is what basically just under 4 whole games of actual play time he's had this season. And yeah, for a young developing lad that obviously the season before was probably our best player, if he has another season like that, we will lose him in January for sure.
Okay, Reese, I'm going to let you go because one, we've gone on really, really long time, and two, I've got these other 2 people who would like to join as well. But thank you very much. Have a great summer, and we'll see you Block 5, Block 6,
Reese.
or even the Woodbine beforehand.
Cheers, love you guys. See you. Take care.
Take care, Reese. Take care, mate.
Cheers.
Before you move on, Ferg, can you put Andy's comment up, please? Because I'd like to say the fans have spoken. Leave the man alone. He isn't as ginger as other people. So
that's. I'm sorry. That's you lot all sticking together, isn't it?
Well, listen. Fans have spoken, mate. Fans have spoken. Know your audience.
Theo. How are we doing, Theo? You all right?
Yes, thanks.
Why aren't you at the front and with the old man at the back? You're the main attraction. That's who we all talk about. You're the man in the middle. You're the man in the middle singing the songs, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess.
Listen, you've been coming to the football. You've been down around with us in Block 5 and Block 6 with your dad and all of us lot, and hearing us shouting, screaming, and sounding like we've had a lemonade or 2. What have you enjoyed? What have you enjoyed the most about this season?
Probably the singing on it.
Yeah, singing probably, and then starting a couple of chants. The Man U game.
Which chants did you start?
Was it the Jesus
one? Wasn't it?
Jesus and Super Mick Arteta, I think it was.
Okay, and I think you've been in the middle for the old El Neni song a couple of times, haven't you?
Yeah, that was well.
Yeah, and I forgot the words.
Yeah, well, that's your dad all over, isn't it? Andrew, highlight of the season, mate. What have you made of the season? And I suppose with the Champions League incoming, what's your expectations of the Champions League? And Lyall will be with you in a second as well, mate.
Especially the Champions League, I would love us to get us into the quarter semi-finals. I think I'd be quite happy with that at the moment. Don't mean to go to the final would be amazing. Dan's rubbing his head because I know what he's thinking. But to get to the final would be absolutely awesome. But realistically, would we do it? I don't know if we can. Depends on who we recruit in the next few weeks. Yes, I know we can do it, but it's matter if we've got the manpower to do it. I think we've got to have a really, really good next few weeks before the season starts to really sort of to push on and to do it. For me, I would just like to have a little bit of stability in there and make sure we qualify again for the Champions League next year.
Okay, so you said we need strengthening. You talk about stability as well. People have mentioned 5-6 players. Realistically, see us getting 5 or 6 players. Plus, there'll be players that'll go out as well that will leave. The likes of Rob Holding, maybe Turner. There's quite a few that they leave. How many windows do you think we've got to strengthen in time for the Champions League to get this far?
I think if we can strengthen enough, I think to be competitive this time, but to really go for a hit on it, I think we need 4 windows to get the better players. I think we need four windows to be able to get, because we're not going to throw the money at it and go for, a 70, 80 million pound player every window, straight off and get 4 players. So if we can strengthen, keep in Emil Smith Rowe, bring him on, and then sort of have a really deep squad, I think we can challenge. But 4 windows ideally to really push us to where the likes of, City, Madrid, teams like that, where we need to be and where we belong.
Okay. Trev, question?
Yeah, I was just a bit shocked there. I don't think we've got 4 transfers, Andrew, windows. And to be honest, mate, if we play our cards right, now we're back in the Champions League, we should be able to attract. I know there's different opinions about this, but my opinion is we should be able to attract these players to come to us. And if we don't have a good winter and this good transfer window and then another good one in January, that makes us all think we're almost there. We've almost done it. I'll be a bit disappointed. I think you're right about Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe is very important. I think I'd love us to keep him, and I'd love to see him develop as he was developing before. But
I think he could be the key to a lot of things. If we can bring him on and and get him to the form he was in last season, he will be like a completely new signing. And I think that's what we need to be doing. But the cost that players are. I mean, we're going to pay what 90 million, maybe 100 million for Declan Rice if we get him. The Kroenke's really going to throw another 80, 90 million in the transfer window. I know me and Fergus said before, it depends on who goes in the summer to what kitty we've got as well. But it'd just be nice to see them I'd love them to go and splash the cash now and really push on. I mean, don't be wrong, if we can sign some big players that are going to strengthen that squad, I'll change my mind completely, Dan, and I'll be with you all the way that we'll go and win the Champions League. I always err on the side of caution. That's always what I do.
Just to finish it off, though, just to come back on that, right? Because it's a really important point. And we all know it. Arteta said the January before last that he would never sign a player that he didn't think would improve Arsenal Football Club. He'd rather not sign anyone. And as long as I've still got that in my head, and he has my total trust that he's going to do the right thing, given the right opportunity. What's your thoughts on that, Andrew?
Oh, no, I completely agree. Completely agree, Trev. He will do. He will only sign players he knows will make that team better. And again, that kind of brings back to the point: do we need a couple more transfer windows? Because is he going to find, or is the other players that he wants going to be available this transfer window or even in January? Because it's harder to sign players in January because not many people move around. So you've really got the 2 summers to make a difference. So the players that he wants, are they going to be available for him to go after straight away? I mean, one of the players that sprung to mind today was Yuri Tielemans, because he's obviously left Leicester on a free today. I mean, if you can get him for nothing, that's a cracking signing to strengthen the midfield up.
Yeah.
I've got a final question for you, Theo, and we might get in trouble for this, but never mind. End of season, let's go for it. What do you think of Tottenham?
Oh shit!
Andrew, forgive him for that.
I said I've heard him singing a lot worse, mate. So it's fine.
Well, something to do with Antonio and Harry Kane and that one. Yeah, another one. Lyall, if you want to come off mute, we'll bring you in now as well. Lyall, good to see you. How have you been? Have you been bored?
Do you know what, Fergus? First and foremost, absolute pleasure to be on. How are we all, lads? Have I been bored? Do you know what? This is the first Monday I haven't been hungover, and I can't remember how long. This is the first time I've gone into work on a Monday and actually feel like a normal human being. It's revolutionary.
I don't even have a beer with me tonight. What's wrong?
But no, I had to dial in and say a big thanks for the season. It's been absolutely terrific. I've loved listening to you, lads. It's been a highlight of every Monday, dialing in and seeing all the comments and all the characters. It's been fantastic.
I suppose a question which I didn't know who I was going to put it to, but I'll put it to you. Lyall, you've been up and down the country. You follow us over land and sea and Leicester. Going out of the Cups early, we went to Oxford, we went to Man City. How did it feel going out of the Cups early?
Look, it's really disappointing because I think if you're a true fan, you want Arsenal to win every game which they're in. I think that's just the long and short of it, right? I think the one for me, which was disappointing, I could understand going out of the FA Cup because obviously, and the League Cup because, we were sort of charging in Europe at the time. But going out of the Europa was the one for me I thought was just crazy because, it's an opportunity to win a trophy. It's an opportunity to put right, sort of past pain. So now the Europa was the one for me I didn't understand. The other two you can sort of understand because there's such a bottleneck with the fixtures, but the Europa was crazy in my opinion.
Yeah, I was in Budapest this week and I saw the Roma and the Seville fans, and it did feel a little bit weird just being there and thinking, the Arsenal should be there. I was at the fan zone and stuff. Just a little bit odd. So, expectations for next season?
Look, I think we've got a challenge next year, and I think if we're being really blunt, if we want to see progress, we're probably going to have to win a trophy. I'm not going to put that expectation on the players, but I think if we want to make progress, we're going to have to win a trophy next year. And the only reason why I say that is otherwise you go back to the old days, which those of us will remember: Champions League, top four, get the monopoly money, repeat. So we're going to have to saddle up and try and win a trophy next year. I think that's just the long and short of it.
Which one?
Look, All of them, yeah. We'll take them all. Look, I think realistically, the league is your bread and butter. I think you've got to go in the league. A cup run in the FA Cup would be good. Champions League, I just don't see that personally. So I think, yeah, he's got to target the league again next year. If we do a trip to Wembley in the FA Cup, that'll be nice. But he's got to try and win that league title, go one step further.
Now, you say he's got to target the league next year because the Champions League is probably that little bit too much. You mentioned about the disappointment of the Europa League. Do you think he changed his focus halfway through the season? And maybe that's why we didn't get to Budapest?
Yeah, maybe. But I think the one thing which, I think the guests have, eloquently put today, as you all have as well, is we just haven't had the squad this year. I think, let's be brutally honest with you. At the start of the season, no one said we were going to finish top four. Everyone was saying, Arsenal do well to finish sixth, might go on a little Europa League run. We've got our 11 fit, we're brilliant, but we're probably four. Like Andrew said, we're probably 4 players short, and so I think it's really tough to judge him on that, given the squad depth.
Yeah, Dan, Trev, have you a question for Lyall?
I do indeed, and I know Lyall, I know you love a European away trip. So first question is, if you could pick one team to draw for next year's away trip in Europe, who would it be and why?
Oh, this is a really, really good question. I love the idea of us going out to somewhere in Spain, Seville. Could you imagine that? I mean, Germany in October would be an absolute riot. I can already see, Trev having more than 2 beers out there. A little bit, of Dortmund or Bayern, sort of around October. Yeah, I'll take that. Any side in Spain is sort of around the start of the group stage. Do you know who actually do want Rapid Vienna? Want Rapid Vienna in Austria? That'd be brilliant. That'd be a good.
The beer's too expensive. The beer's too expensive.
Yeah, it's true, but it's somewhere we haven't been, isn't it?
I saw Vienna when we had the 2,000 fans. Remember when they ended COVID?
Yeah.
There, that was weird. Have you got any questions? You three down there. Have you got any questions for us three at the top?
Is that a no?
No, I think...
While we're on European trips, I would Berlin for me. I want us to draw Union Berlin. I do. I'm desperate to go there. I've never been to that stadium. It's a bit out of the city, but I want to go there. And I've been there before, but I'd love to go back to Braga because it's a unique stadium, Braga. But do you know what? If we have some times like we did sat on that pavement in Lisbon drinking them beers, I'll go anywhere, mate. I don't care.
No, it's brilliant. It's great to be having this conversation. And I think, do you know what? The one thing which I think has been the best bit about this season is the Arsenal are back. I know the media don't like it. I know all the other fans don't like it, but we are back, and I can't wait to see that anthem on a Wednesday night or a Tuesday night, whether that's in Europe or the Emirates next year. It's going to be brilliant, isn't it?
That Champions League's music's going to sound mint going around the Emirates, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Wembley in the final.
We'll take it. Do you know what, Dan? Speak it out. We'll take it. I love the optimism. We'll take it.
Genuinely, I think we have more chance of winning the Champions League than the league. And I say that because this season, one thing we have shown is that we can still be up and down with a young squad. But on our day, when we're on top of our game, we can beat anyone. And I do believe that we can go next year with a couple of additions and beat anyone on their day again. And that means, like worse teams have done, like Chelsea, for example, under Di Matteo, all the way to the final and won it, we can absolutely do it. So let's not give up. Next round out of the group stage, nah, not for me. Final, win it.
As far as we go, we keep getting them away trips. That'll do for me. Come on, Ferg. Answer that question for Dell, mate.
I'll let you two go first because I've got one lined up then to answer that.
Go on, Dan.
I've got one. So, yeah, I mean, the standout one for me, many games that people have mentioned, Bournemouth at home, Liverpool at home, Spurs at home, etc. But for me, Spurs away, to just go there and see us win at their ground, it's literally all I've ever dreamt of seeing us do as a kid, and to be able to see it and go there and see their faces on the way out. And, yeah, it's just fantastic. Best day I've had this year, walking out.
Especially standing in the crowd with the ball while they're all queuing up to the train.
Yeah,
going, Kane was crap and Son was crap and Conte hasn't got a clue. And then we start chatting to them and pretending, not giving anything away. We weren't saying we were Arsenal. We weren't saying we were Tottenham. We were just chatting, just baiting them even more and more. That was.
Although you did so say, fun. Dan, stop smiling.
Trev.
Definitely that.
Well, do you know what? My favourite moments of the season are the away trips in Europe that I've had with so many different people. I can't drag one out of the hat, but that's at my age. I ain't got too many of them to come, so I savour every one of those European away trips, and I appreciate the company, you know. But I can also, I've just got to touch on the saddest moment for me was when we were away at Zurich and our good Queen passed away at half time, and I thought our players and the fans, both the teams' fans in the stadium, handled that magnificently that night. Handled it magnificently, right? And now to finish, right, the funniest thing of the season. By far the funniest thing for me, miles ahead of anything else, was Fergus bruising his arse. It was the funniest thing, right? And me being drunk as a skunk and him insisting on showing me his bruised arse. Oh, my Lord.
I didn't show you my bruised arse. I didn't show you my bruised arse. I tell you, all of those things, the Tottenham one is huge on there. The Bournemouth goal in the last minute. Newcastle away was a great night out. There's loads, absolutely loads. But the one that sticks out was my first proper road trip. I know we had done some Europeans the season before, but it's this one and this video.
From the Cali to the cross and every shithole in between. Past the church, the mosque, the crack den, and the offie on the corner. See the brasses from the brothel, pretends to be a sauna. Watch the bedlam in the bookies, see the winners and the losers.
Videos of us driving through from Milan through the Alps.
There he is. Every day and I'm just the little fuckers causing trouble for the causes make you smile. You're meeting muckers for a couple, forget your troubles for a while. From the fall to the heaven, all the faces are the same. Cause the manner might be changing, but the people still remain. North London forever, whatever the weather. These streets are our own, and my heart will leave you never. My blood will forever run through the storm.
Trev, you didn't even know we were recording that at the time, and it was only like later I put it up on, I think it was Instagram or something like that, and you went, "Oh, I didn't know you were recording that." But as Dale said in the comments,
you were so good filming that because, as you said, I didn't know, right? I didn't know, and I love that video. I do love it. But the funniest part of that journey was when Fergus was in the front with me, Terry was in the back, and I pretended I hadn't seen some roadworks, right? And drove towards them, and we had to pull over so Ferg could change his pants. It was hilarious.
Italian roads and Trevor don't go together, and the steering wheel on the wrong side of the car as well. Lyall, Andrew, Theo, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciated you joining us, and it's really good to see you over the summer. Over the season, and have a lovely summer. And we'll see you in August.
Yes,
up
the Arsenal. Come on. See you guys. Take care.
See you,
boys.
Take care, boys. Oh, my Lord. What happened
there? Guys, Christ, 1 hour 44. 1 hour 44.
You can waffle, Ferg, can't you?
Yeah, but
just a tad.
Ferg, what a show. What I've thoroughly enjoyed. That 1 hour 44 has gone so quick for me, mate. I know you're going to do it, but just from me, and I know Dan will do it. Thank you, everybody, for commenting and phoning in. That's the way to finish a season. What a great show we've had there from my perspective. Loved every second of it.
I think it just goes to show, right? And a little bit like the last game of the season is just how the fan base has changed and people just loving football and loving the club again. Because, you know, the last few games, it would have been easy to hide away and say, oh, I've had enough now, that's it. But people stand to the end watching, you know, the Wolves game and the atmosphere there. And yeah, same tonight. People just loving the club again. It's good to see, and let's keep it going next year.
I have one final guest to appear, but before we do that, I'd like to thank Tom from Tampa Bay, Kai, Dale, Ben in Cambodia, Spencer in Virginia, Lawrence in California, Albert JTV, Ben Bennett, Reese, Lyall, and Andrew and Theo. Thank you very much. But our last guest has just made a speech.
Throughout my time here, I saw our club returning to a feeling we have all missed. Because there is something special behind us. This is togetherness. So I want to thank you, all of you. Thank you to our players who face the season with passion and determination. When I watch our men and women training every single day, I can feel how much they want to deliver for this football club. Thank you to everyone working alongside them, all together doing what they believe is right. You cannot imagine how much it helps the players, how much belief it gives them. And thank you to all our supporters everywhere. Without you, it doesn't make any sense what we do. You are our energy. You are living the game with us. You always have been. In our attitude, in our self-belief, in the demands that push each other to seek excellence. So that's what we all must do. Demand more from each other. Support each other. Be connected in every action. In every win, in every single ball. Now, we focus on what's in front. And if we keep moving forward, we can achieve anything. Because we know what's behind this club, behind this feeling. This is our Arsenal.
Has he got a cold in here or what? Bloody hell.
Yeah, Dan, I'm the same, mate. Dan, I'm the same, mate. Wow. Just, and that the last comment there that we've had tonight from Andy Fink just sums it all up, doesn't it, boys? Eh? Simple. Really simple.
Guys, I've enjoyed it. I said we'd do nearly 2 hours, and we have. Thanks to all our guests. But guys, thanks to Alex, who had to leave earlier. Thanks to you, Dan, and thanks to you, Trev. It's been an absolute pleasure doing it this season. Not only what we've done here, the little clips that we do walk into the stadium for Highbury squad and that we share, and just like getting absolutely polluted drunk and singing our lungs out and not being able to talk to anybody. I have to sit here and do Teams meetings the days after football games and have to tell people, yeah, no, I got a little bit of a cold. I was at the football yesterday. And it just sounds so professional for somebody who's going to be in whatever industry. It's just, unreal. It's been absolutely unreal. We're going to take a few weeks off. We don't know if we're doing anything over the summer, but we will probably come back if a couple of weeks before the season starts, unless if we can think of some things. We might do something with the Gooner fanzine. I haven't really planned anything. I just really want some downtime because I don't know about you guys. I've found the season just exhausting, but in the nicest way exhausting. Dan?
I agree, but I'm bored now. I want to go again. What I would say is don't forget, we haven't said this yet, we start a week earlier now. We're going to Wembley, lads. First game of the season.
Yes.
We've
started a minute go on.
We've got the fixtures come out soon. Not that they mean a lot, do they? Because once Sky get hold of them, they'll change. Then at the end of August, we've got the Champions League draw, and then we go again. And as Dan rightly said, took the words out of my mouth, Dan. I don't care. It's not really a trophy, the Community Shield, is it? Let's be honest. But it's a damn fine day out at Wembley, and we'll all be there and enjoying it.
It's more than the Audi Cup, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. It is indeed. Right, guys, you have been watching Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. If you like what we do, you know what to do. Click, subscribe, and like. You need to do that on the YouTube side of things, as Trevor's pointed out and I've pointed out a few times. It does help us just to do some other bits and pieces. If you listen on audio, when I was traveling on the airplane, I listened back to the audio, and it's quite interesting. But you do miss a few little bits and a bit of context around stuff. So if you can get yourself onto the video version, have a look at it. Thank you very much. Have a great summer, and see you next season. Up the Arsenal, fuck the Spurs.
You've been listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons and Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too.